This video is sponsored by PCBWAY.
Do you believe me when I say I'm never like this? Do you need me the way you say you do? Treading lightly through the water, through the light and darkness. If I'm not careful, my love might consume you. Pulling me back into my body. I wanna take my time with you. Your lips are gonna haunt me if what you say is true. Pulling me back into my body. I'm just a dead man walking. I'm just a pawn, but nothing hurts better than you. Into my body, I'm just a dead man walking. I'm just a pawn, but nothing hurts better than you. Pulling me, I'm just pulling me. Are we doomed to the fate laid out before us? Can you lift the curse with a single kiss? Standing on the edge of the ever-growing abyss. Does it really have to end like this? Pulling me back into my body. I wanna take my time with you. Your lips are gonna haunt me if what you say is true. Pulling me back into my body. I'm just a dead man walking. I'm just a pawn, but nothing hurts better than you.
And I love it.
Hey there, this is Seth Schaefer from Team Just Cause Robotics, and in today's video we will finally recap Division's run at the July Norwalk Havoc event. Division is my main 3-pound combat robot, which is styled mainly after Deep 6 from BattleBots, as you can probably tell from the general shape of the bot and the gigantic weapon. Division's weapon is able to spin with a tip speed of up to 230 miles per hour, and it can deliver an amount of kinetic energy equivalent to the muzzle energy of a 357 Magnum handgun. Needless to say, this is a dangerous robot, but every robot at Norwalk Havoc's 3-pound circuit is a dangerous robot. There were almost 80 competitors, and this was one of the toughest brackets that I've ever seen. So I didn't have super high hopes going into it, but I've made some crucial improvements to Division from the April run to this most recent July run, mainly focusing on the drive system, trying to get this to be more reliable and more robust and not lose any wheels like I did against Lynx at the end of my April tournament run. Now, while I was blessed to have quite a deep run in April, I got 7 fights in, all in the main tournament. This most recent July event was a 2-day event, with the first day being my run in the tournament, and the second day I only was able to do grudge matches. That said, I was able to get in enough grudge matches to make it so that my total number of fights was still 7 fights, so I'm going to break this up into 2 separate videos, the first video being my main tournament run, and the second video being all of my grudge matches from day 2. So, in this video, which you're watching now, part 1, you're going to see Division's run in the tournament, starting out with a rematch against Voxel, sort of. Well, technically Voxel V1. Now, this is sort of a rematch for me versus Voxel. Division has actually fought Voxel twice before. Once at the Sword event, where Voxel drove into a push-out pit, and a second time at Norwalk, but back in November of 2020. This is actually one of the most viewed videos on my channel, with over 19,000 views as of this recording. You can see that, well, it went badly for me in a hurry. So this version of Division was very different from the current one. I was trying out this new weapon design, which I ended up not really liking very much. And as you can see, Voxel was able to absolutely launch me across the box due to having a way higher tip speed and the weapon being so much lower than mine. And eventually, after just a couple hits, he was able to get this one monster hit on me that scalped Brett and also disconnected the weapon pulley from my weapon motor by loosening up the Loctite on the little set screw that held it onto the shaft, so I was no longer able to self-right since my weapon wouldn't work anymore. And that was basically the end of the fight. Now, I've improved almost every aspect of my bot since back then. However, Voxel's had the same amount of time to make as many improvements as they would like as well. So let's see how I did now.
Cage 3 looks like it's ready to go.
Next in Cage 3, Division versus Voxel.
All right. We can see Michael Shore, and it's his dad that's running Voxel today.
And then, of course, on the other side of the box, we have Seth Schaefer. Check out his YouTube channel. You want to learn a little something about bots.
Friend of the team, friend of the league, friend of the pod, Seth Schaefer.
3, 2, 1.
Fight, robots, fight.
Oh, boy.
Oh, here we go. That's what you like to see for Division, just that absolutely chaotic bouncing around inside of the box. And bulletproof reliability on the weapon, back on their feet. This deep 6S, huge vertical bar from Division.
It's done several pirouettes so far. Do you know how hard it is, Luke, to fight a ballerina?
There we go with the sky attack, Chris. I love it. Wow! Going end over end at least 10 times there. Facing off against the absolute bulletproof wide boy drum from Voxel V1. Voxel staying absolutely planted to the floor, sending Division up into the lights. Huge hits! Caving up those long forks on Division, getting under that robot. Incredible. Wow. And Division is hanging in there with amazing reliability, Chris.
I tell you, the new Division weapon system, it's, of course, I say that now, but holy cow. I mean, that took so many hits before it went down.
Voxel V1.
Wow, great match.
Fantastic match. You know, Seth Schaefer has really nailed the reliability on that robot. I don't think there's a lot of robots here today that can go end over end, flying through the air, landing on its weapon, and continuing to run for as long as that match went. And, you know, at the very, the last seconds of that match, really finding that his weapon had finally gone down. Take a quick look at this replay. Oh, I could watch this all day.
I mean, if anybody's going to test the durability of your bot, it's going to be the Voxels, right? The line of Voxels.
Yeah, that egg beater drum on Voxel, just staying totally planted to the floor, sending all of that kinetic energy into Division and into the air. Amazing. Fantastic.
A little bit of post-fight commentary here. You can see the Division held up a lot better than it did in my first fight with Voxel, where it was really over in about 25 seconds. Here the fight lasted closer to 80-ish seconds. Unfortunately, that still wasn't a great performance from Division here, and Voxel is basically one of the worst possible bots for me to be fighting since it has a super fast spinning beater bar. It spins many times faster than my own weapon, and it's really low to the ground, which means that there isn't very much for Division to hit on it because my weapon is positioned so high up. The hinged forks I ran in the middle were supposed to try and kind of reduce the weapon-on-weapon engagements, but unfortunately, as you can see, while there was a bit more grinding and less Division being thrown into Brett than the first time we fought, it still wasn't super effective. The shape of this weapon is also designed to try and mitigate so many weapon-on-weapon collisions, but while I didn't get thrown as quickly or, you know, as powerfully as before, I still was being thrown around all the time. I wasn't able to keep Division really in the fight for very long. Eventually I lost a drive side, and then my weapon speed controller actually reset, so I thought that my weapon was dead and I tapped out before realizing that it had actually just reset, and then it came back to life shortly after the match ended. I wasn't going to win the fight anyway, though.
I am Mike Shore, Michael Shore's dad, and this is Voxel version 1.
All right, so how do you think that fight went?
I think it went very well. I've only been fighting this bot for about almost a year. So I've been doing a lot of driving practice, and I think that helped that fight.
It certainly seemed like it, yeah. I barely even touched the front of your bot.
The weapon bar on this was brand new, so all the marks on the tip of that are from this last fight.
Wow. I didn't really get around to the sides, that's what I was kind of going for.
There is one here that you got. I don't know if that was from the back. It's kind of strange that it was on the top corner.
Hey, stuff happens. Yeah, it was a really good fight.
I was nervous to fight Division for sure, and
I was very nervous to fight this spot, and obviously with good reason.
it was fantastic, though. I appreciate it.
Also, I owe you a fork.
Alrighty. Excellent. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Alright, just fought Voxel V1, and this is what Division looks like afterwards. You can see that the forks took a beating. This one is totally bent. It's AR500. Titanium forks flew off. That one's a little bit bent too. He nicked the chassis here after the fork came off, but that's probably still usable. I'll probably be able to bend that back. Drive on this side cut out, and I have to investigate why. Alright, looks like I lost drive because of this wire getting cut. I got crimped back here somehow during the impact, so that's not great. But the motor seems fine. The wheel still turns, but obviously I need to swap in a new hub. But hey, these took hits like a champ, so I'm still pretty happy with that. It looks like the polypropylene mount cracked, but it didn't totally fail. The back did its job of absorbing a lot of hits. Oh my god, how do you get the bottom of my robot? And yeah, this side took a little bit of a hit while I was upside down, it looks like. But yeah, overall this chassis is still perfectly usable, I think, so that's good. I just have to fix this drive speed controller. Fortunately, the damage that Voxel caused was not irreparable. I really just had this one white wire that I had to solder back together for the electronics to work perfectly again. And I decided that I would also swap that messed up wheel for a brand new fresh one after this. And I bent the little corner of the chassis that had been bent up back into shape, which was really no trouble at all, actually. Let's see if I can get this back.
Thank you to PCBWAY for making this robot possible. The chassis running inside of this robot was made by PCBWAY themselves with their CNC machining service. And outside the robot, it looks a little bit like this. It's milled from a 4-pound block of aluminum and allows the robot to have a lightweight, strong central chassis that everything bolts to, making repairs really, really easy and convenient. PCBWAY also manufactured the custom PCBs that I designed that run power through the entire robot and make it possible for me to make Division this compact and fit all of the power of this terrifying robot into such tiny little packages where the battery and all the drive electronics sit on either side. So for any CNC fabrication needs that you might have, or if you need to get a custom PCB made, check out PCBWAY.com. With the link in the description below, you can use a referral code and you'll get $5 off your first order.
My next opponent was a bot I really didn't want to fight, but not because I thought I would lose to it, but rather because it was basically the combat robot equivalent of Bambi crossed with Jason Voorhees, and nobody wants to see Bambi get murdered brutally by a Deep Six robot. I agreed with the builders of Spinecrawler to let them get some time in to just walk around and let the audience see it and get some good footage before I tore into them.
By going to cage 3, this
Next
is
in
elimination
cage 3,
bracket round 1.
Spinecrawler
So pumped.
versus
Spinecrawler is
Division.
back, and they are facing off one of the most destructive competitors here, Division. Division is the big vertical spinner in the 3-pound division.
Kyle, this is an art piece versus a sledgehammer.
I mean, absolutely. Listen, Division
8,
was a bit of a concept
7,
bot when it first started,
6,
but now that it's mastered
5,
the art of self-writing,
4,
it is an actual
3,
viable competitor
2,
here.
Oh, I feel
1.
uncomfortable,
Fight,
Kyle.
robots,
I'm so
fight.
excited about this.
Seth Schaefer has very generously refused to spin up his weapon in the first few seconds of this match.
So
Instead,
nice, so
shoving
nice.
Spine Crawler into the corner.
It looks like Spine Crawler has all of its linkages actually in and functioning, so they have a bit of a weight bonus that they were able to use now, or they were able to shave some weight off. That's good. That's going to help with their mobility quite a bit.
Division very generously going after the mini-bot first on Spine Crawler, just giving that robot as much airtime as possible.
I love that. And there he goes! Seth Schaefer says, now it's time to hurt somebody, and I love it.
Spine Crawler now finds itself on its side. I feel like I'm watching an animal being killed, Kyle.
Hey, don't say that. We could get taken off of YouTube.
Look at this. The
Wow.
left side of the drive on Spine Crawler is locked up.
Yeah, and there's wires and cabling hanging out of the side of Spine Crawler. It is not supposed to look that way.
This is true crab walking. I feel like I'm...
Oh!
All right, we haven't had Brett come in here and try and save.
I mean,
Tap
yeah, I was
out.
gonna say that would be a tap out
Knockout.
right there with the knockout.
The winner
Okay.
is Division.
This was the elimination bracket. This was a do or die fight, and the Casmers are going home early with Spine Crawler. I want to give an amazing, huge round of applause to Spine Crawler for building something so complicated and
know.
beautiful.
Such a cool bot, such an interesting concept, such an interesting design. I absolutely loved it.
That's one of those robots that you could just package up and sell as a toy, Kyle.
You know, my kids would love that.
Yeah,
They would
just
drive
a
that all day long.
terrifying, awful, nightmare-inducing toy.
Yes.
You know?
That's what we want.
Like, if that thing, turned on by itself in the middle of the night, I
Yes.
would sell my house and move. All right, let's check out here a replay. Division really very charitably not turning on its spinner until the middle part of this match.
So nice of them.
And really, surgically popping its opponent on its side. I mean, Seth is a huge fan of good design. He knows exactly how complicated Spine Crawler is and wants to send, the Casmers home with a mostly intact robot.
Absolutely. He did the very best job that he could, and I really appreciate that about him.
A 3-pound walker. You gotta love that guy.
What? I mean, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, technically, it's a 5-pound walker, right? Well, 6 pounds, actually.
Yeah, it's a chunky walker.
It's a chunky walker. All right, so
right.
we're going to go back to our friend Allie. Allie, we're so glad to have you here.
Oh, stand by.
Hello,
You're
Allie.
yeah. All right, there we go. We're back. But I know I'm going to be speaking to a lot to you throughout today and tomorrow, but I really want to know how you're feeling about this. Explain a little bit about what power it has behind it, the weapons. Give the fans a little bit of insight.
All right, so this is Division, obviously. It's a 3-pound robot. There's a lot of experimental weird things going on with this bot. First off, this whole metal piece you see on the bottom is also continuous with the back and the sides here. It's a single block of aluminum, so it's about a 6.5-ounce part milled from a 4-pound block. That makes it a lot easier to repair things because every single element just bolts right to that one-piece chassis, so I could make repairs pretty fast. The drive system is the main thing I changed up for this event compared to what ran in April. So I actually 3D printed this black piece here and the side drive mounts with a different material than before. They used to be nylon and now they're polypropylene, which hopefully has a little bit more durability than nylon, and it's not as likely to crack like you saw against Lynx when my wheel fell off.
I do remember that, for better or for worse. So it's good to know that this is easy to be repaired. I'm sure we'll be talking to you very soon.
Great. Thank you.
All right, Seth Schaefer with Just Cuz Robotics. If you are an aspirational builder, if you want to build your first combat robot, check out Just Cuz Robotics on YouTube. Seth has an amazing series of tutorial videos, and he goes deep on exactly how he designs a combat robot and all of the kind of design questions that you have to ask yourself when you're designing your first robot.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot believe Division is a billet boy. That blows my mind, especially
nice.
at the 3 pounds.
Yeah.
Seth being being a part of the Bloodsport team, a famous billet boy at the heavyweights makes
True.
perfect sense to me. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
That was kind of fun. It was definitely interesting. I really, really like Spinecrawler's design. It's such a cool looking bot, even if it's not exactly, well, practical. It's quite a bit top heavy, which meant that it couldn't really self-right with its hammer. At least I got some time to nail this little mini bot. That was pretty fun. Yeah, not a lot of interesting slow-mo to show in this. Just figured I'd kind of talk about my approach to the fight and whatnot. Before I saw Spinecrawler's first fight, I was actually concerned about the hammer, but as you can see, it moves pretty slowly. So even though I only have 1/16 inch carbon fiber on top of my bot, I wasn't really concerned about it really doing any damage. I lined up a nice shot here where I was trying to avoid hitting the battery, which you could see literally just like zip-tied into the top of Spinecrawler. But I ended up hitting the fingertech switch running one side of their drive, destroying it, and disabling that side of the leg walker thing. So yeah, and I guess maybe the hammer stops too. Not exactly my most challenging opponent ever, but it was certainly really interesting to fight such a unique robot.
I blew up this fingertech switch. I can't hear you. What? I'm talking to the camera. Sorry. Blew up the fingertech switch. Yeah, you do. And you see it carved straight in here and here and here. Nixed the hammer.
That was my first fight. It was basically
Hit back here. Didn't really hit the legs on this side at all. Honestly, it held up surprisingly well, except for all the electronics on top. My division looks pretty much the same as it went into the box coming out, as you can probably imagine. It was a fun fight, though. It was nice to be able to kick around the mini-bot a little bit. I really think that walking thing is super interesting.
Now, with low beater bars being pretty much the worst thing for me to fight, especially really competitive ones, somehow I ended up with my next opponent being 3-time Norwalk Havoc champion and 2-time Norwalk Havoc runner-up Shreddit Bro, basically the king of beater bars. Now, the hinged forks didn't really work well against Voxel, so I decided to replace the center forks with 2 fixed forks. This would be a similar config to that I ran against Lynx, except I ran with fixed outer forks as well, because that would prevent Shreddit Bro from getting a direct hit on my chassis. So yeah, that could have gone better. Well, maybe it couldn't have, honestly. Beater bars are just kind of the worst for me. Basically, this fight went pretty similarly to how Voxel went, with a few key differences. Number one, I didn't have any drive signal wires break. I did, however, stop being able to operate properly with my right wheel because Shreddit Bro got a really weirdly angled hit on the back of my chassis while my bot was upside down that bent a piece of the chassis below the point where my right wheel was, so my right wheel was no longer properly contacting the floor, even though it did keep spinning the entire time. My weapon never died throughout the duration of the fight. Neither of my drive sides died throughout the duration of the fight. But ultimately what killed me was obviously the battery getting ripped out of my robot. More specifically, Shredded Bro got a really, really lucky hit at the exact right location on the back of the top plate of my robot that was able to lever the two heatset inserts on the drive side out. So the top panel was basically being loosely held by two screws on the chassis, and it was able to basically hinge itself enough that the battery could come out. And then Shredder Bro hit the battery and it broke one of the solder joints connecting to the battery. So even if I had wanted to keep going, which I absolutely did not, the battery was now physically disconnected from the rest of my electronics, and there was nothing I could do from that point on, so I tapped out. I also found out that Shredder Bro hit the battery as I was unloading the bot, and even though the battery wasn't on fire or anything, I handed it off to Jim to run outside into a sand bucket, and that battery was never to be seen again. Unfortunately for me, Thursday before the competition, I went to charge up all my batteries that had been in storage since April. 2 of my 3 RDQ batteries were questionable, one of them totally dead, and the second had a low first cell, so I charged it back up to normal, but I was still a little bit sketch about it. Naturally, the third very good one was the one Shredder Bro killed.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Evan from Team Shredded, Pain Train. I'm here with my boy Seth over here. We just had a nice fight, you know, Shredder Bro first division. For a long time, probably wanted that going, you know, but it was really cool. I gotta say, going to that fight, you know, pretty sure we both, you know, there was a little high tension, but it was really good. Most fight, I knew, you know, I had to get the tip speed because Division's weapon is ginormous. Shredder Bro's like this big, so you know, I knew I had to stay on him, and you know, Division surprisingly kept, you know, nose to nose, which is perfect, you know, for especially combat. So I got, you know, big credit, and man, that was good shit.
Yeah, that was a good fight. It was, I kind of was trying to hold my own, but the tip speed war, I'm always losing, so it's pretty hard. I was trying so hard to get around the sides, but it's so easy for you to just turn.
Yeah, want to flip the camera for you?
Sure.
Yeah, let me get you. It's still going, right?
Yeah.
So how was that for you, bro?
That was pretty rough. I haven't had the battery launched out of my robot since the second fight, or second competition Division's ever gone to, where I had an acrylic top panel, which turns out to be a mistake.
Oh, shit.
And I backed into another robot, and because my blade's spinning down at the back, I launched my own robot 8 feet in the air, and it landed down, and the top panel exploded, and the battery came out.
Yeah.
This is only the second time that's happened.
Any new things you did for this fight?
For this fight, the only different thing I tried was, instead of using hinge forks like I used against Voxel that kept getting stuck in the floor, I went to all fixed forks with the titanium forks on all 4 places. So I realized when I was going against Lynx before, having fixed forks only in the middle meant when he could come into the corner, he hit the chassis directly. So at least having a bladed forks on the outside made it less likely the chassis would get destroyed. But obviously that only works for a couple hits before the forks are gone, and then you still gotta manage to hit that corner.
Right on.
I think the biggest problem I had was that my right wheel, the tire was like peeling off the whole time, and to the point where I had like no traction on that side anymore. So eventually I couldn't face you anymore, and then you got behind me, and one hit filling off the top panel. That's all it took, basically.
You did great, man. Anything new you want to do next time for your bot?
I'll definitely be trying to get thicker, better back, like armor on there, to see that I can space people away from the back a bit more, because that seems to be a continual weakness. And then obviously the new drive setup worked really well, though. I didn't lose wheels against you or Voxel.
Nice.
So I think that was a good change.
Awesome, man. Hey guys, you know, we're out here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, bro. That was awesome.
That could have gone better. Basically, he got one really good hit on the back that just touched the top plate, and it wrenched out the threaded inserts here. So the top came out and the battery fell out. Otherwise, I was just down I was having problems driving because this tire was wearing out to the point where it was like basically not touching the floor anymore. But honestly, I think everything probably still works. I think the drive sides and weapon both still work. I guess I'll find out shortly when I reconnect a battery that wasn't ripped out violently. But I mean, yeah, if I was gonna going out against Reddit Bro is a somewhat predictable thing to have happen. Still kind of sucks to only go 1 and 2 after such a deep run in April, but it's just how the bracket works sometimes. You get the worst opponents and then you're done. I didn't this at first. This is free spinning because the chassis got bent out underneath. He somehow hit me while I was upside down, like upwards, and it wrenched a piece of the chassis up so that it's blocking me from touching the ground with my wheels down. But honestly, the chassis held up pretty well other than that, and a couple other spots that he managed to angle. Some screw holes are maybe not reusable, but that's why we have extras. And yeah, the main damage was just this one hit here where he peeled the top panel up and it pulled the inserts straight out of this polypropylene. And that was pretty much all she wrote once the battery was out. I was like, I have to tap out. Plus, he had to cut the power wire anyway, so obviously I wasn't doing anything from that point on. It would have just been expensive if I kept going. Yep, all I lost was the battery. Everything still works.
This concludes part 1 of the recap from July Norwalk Havoc, showing all of my tournament fights. In April, Division went through, I think technically I had 1 forfeit win and 5 match wins, and then 2 losses to Dread Hades and then Lynx, who went on to win the tournament. This event, I lost first to Voxel V1, who later in the tournament beat Dread Hades and placed 5th overall, and to Shreddit Bro, who has won multiple Norwalk Havoc tournaments in the past. And all 4 of those robots are beater bars. So it's pretty clear what I have to improve. And at this point, it seems like Division basically just doesn't lose to non-beater bar bots, so I just need to figure out some way of countering those. I'm going to probably make some improvements to the back armor to space robots away from the top panels more. And I might keep experimenting a little bit with the actual tire material, though the new Sikaflex 221 material I cast these tires with for this event seemed to bond to the TPU hubs a lot better than the Vitaflex I'd been using before, so that was a successful improvement. And using polypropylene instead of nylon and TPU in some places also seems to have some marginal benefits while also saving quite a bit of weight, so I'm probably going to be sticking with using Form Futura polypropylene in the future. I'll leave some affiliate links down below if you'd like to purchase some of that same material. And yeah, after my next recap, I will probably update the CAD on my web store. You can buy and actually download the entire design for Division if you want to make a copy of it or just learn from my design. And right now, you can still buy the version 3.1 CAD that was what I ran in April. And if you buy it between now and whenever I update to version 3.2, I will send you a link to the version 3.2 CAD for free, so you don't have to pay twice. If you like this video, make sure to click like. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon. And also, you can check out some of my past Norwalk Havoc recaps, including my run in April, which I will probably have linked as an end card at the end of this video. And as always, thanks for watching.